$9 billion. That is the number federal prosecutors are now estimating was stolen in the Minnesota fraud scandals. While you were fighting for a measly 6% yield on a rental property, while you were losing sleep over interest rates and property tax hikes, a criminal network was printing money out of thin air, stealing it from child nutrition programs, and using it to buy entire neighborhoods in cash. But this video isn't just about the crime, it's about the punishment, because the government is very embarrassed. They got caught sleeping at the wheel, and now what? They are overcorrecting. They are launching a regulatory nuclear weapon on the real estate market that is going to blow up legitimate investors like yourself. If you own a property, or if you were planning on buying one in 2026, you need to watch every second of this video, because the rules of the game just changed. Real estate is no longer safe haven. It has become a liquidity trap, and by the end of this video, I'm going to show you the only asset class left that offers you speed, privacy, and protection from this government overreach. First, I need you to understand why the market is broken. We have to talk about Nolosha. In Minnesota, a developer called Nolosha Development promised a dream. They targeted immigrant families and promised them a custom-built community. They took massive down payments, millions in deposits, but here's the catch. They didn't even own the land. They didn't have the permits, they didn't buy a single house. It was effectively a ghost project, but it gets way worse. In the Feeding Our Future scandal, fraudsters were taking stolen taxpayer money that was meant to be going to feeding hungry kids, and washing it through real estate. They would buy a house for double the asking price because they didn't care about the cost. It wasn't their money. This artificial demand drove up prices for everyone. So if you were a legitimate investor trying to buy a lot for $100,000, you were getting outbid by a fraudster paying $200,000 in cash. This turned the market into a casino, and now the feds have shut it down, the casino is closed, and they are locking the doors with everybody inside. Here's where it affects your wallet. Because of this fraud, the US Treasury and FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, have decided that anonymous real estate is now over. They have issued a new rule, and it takes full effect on March 1st, 2026. Mark that date, because after that date, your privacy is going to be very, very exposed. Here's what the rule does. If you buy residential real estate without a mortgage, meaning all cash deal or a private money deal, you are now on a watch list. Title agents and attorneys are now federally required to report you to the FinCEN. They want your name, they want your address, they want your social security number, and they want to know exactly where that money came from. In high-risk jurisdictions, they are flagging wire transfers for as low as $3,000. $3,000. You can't even buy a decent used car for $3,000. But if you move that money for a real estate deal, you could trigger a suspicious activity report. I have friends in the development game right now, legitimate guys, and they have had their bank accounts frozen. Not because they committed a crime, but because the bank is terrified of the government. The review takes weeks. In real estate, your time is money. So if you can't close the deal, you're ultimately going to lose it. The government has turned the banking system into a police force, and you are now becoming the suspect. So let's look at the math. Why do we all love real estate? We loved it for cash flow and appreciation. But real estate only works if it's liquid. It only works if you can get your money out when you need it. And right now, we are seeing a liquidity freeze. High interest rates are squeezing margins. Insurance costs are skyrocketing. And now, regulatory risk means you might not be able to sell or refinance without a federal audit. You are locking your capital into a physical asset that is heavy, easy to tax, easy to regulate, and now easy to freeze. If you are a conservative investor, you have to ask yourself, is the 6% return worth the risk of having my capital trapped for 6 months by a bureaucrat in Washington? The answer for smart money is no. So where is smart money going? When the housing market freezes, the amateurs panic. They hold the bag, but the smart money, they just change the vehicle. They are moving out of physical real estate and into digital infrastructure. Now, let me be very clear about what this is not. I'm not talking about crypto, which is just a gamble. And I'm definitely not talking about Amazon FBA or dropshipping. That is still inventory risk. You're still buying boxes from China, praying they arrive and hoping they sell. That is just the same liquidity trap as a house, just with smaller boxes. I'm talking about owning the infrastructure of the business itself. Look at the biggest companies in the world right now. They aren't trying to buy more land, they are buying leverage. They are spending billions on systems that replace human labor, and that's where you come in. Think about the difference. If you own a rental property, you are renting the roof over a tenant's head. You are charging them for shelter. It is a cost they hate paying. But in this asset class, you are renting efficiency to a business owner. You are owning and leasing the systems that answer the phones, book their appointments, and follow up with their leads instantly, 24/7, without a human ever touching a keyboard. You aren't a landlord for a building, you are a landlord for their revenue. It's called AI arbitrage. In real estate, you fight for a check once a month and pray that the water heater doesn't explode. In this model, you get paid a retainer every single month, not because you fixed a toilet, but because you fixed their system and delivered a result. This is the single greatest wealth transfer since the internet was created. We are moving from a labor-based economy to an intelligence-based economy, and the vehicle driving this is artificial intelligence. But here's the mistake everyone makes. They think AI means using ChatGPT to write an email. That's not the case. The money is in building the systems, and that's exactly what we do at Grow AI. We don't teach theory, we are an implementation partner. We help professionals and agency owners build and deploy AI employees for local businesses. Receptionists that never sleep, sales agents that text back in 3 seconds, systems that reactivate old leads and turn them into cash. Businesses are drowning in admin work, and they are desperate for these needs, but they don't know how to build it. That is where the gap is. This is the AI Gold Rush. We provide you with all the back-end implementation help that you need so you don't have to worry about being a tech genius or having any tech experience going into this. You just have to be the operator. You aren't flipping houses, you are flipping efficiency. And the margins, they make real estate look like a savings account. I have seen up to 40 to 50% margins on some of the deals I've done in my own internal agency. Now, let me be radically transparent. We are not selling a get rich quick. We are not promising you'll act like a tech billionaire next week. We build boring, high retention businesses, and we aim for clients who pay setup fees plus monthly retainers because that's how the system works. It's not screw you money immediately. It's replace your salary money, and it's freedom money. And unlike the real estate gurus who disappear when the market turns, we are partners. We focus on your execution, closing your first deal, and every single deal after that. The government has frozen the real estate market. Your capital is just sitting there losing value to inflation, waiting to be flagged by FinCEN. So now you have two choices. You can wait for the feds to fix the mess that they created, or you can become the person businesses pay to deploy the most powerful technology of our lifetime. If you're a high performer, if you're tired of the passive income lies and want a real B2B asset, click the link in the description. I've recorded a breakdown of exactly how the Grow AI partnership works and how you can enter this market before it gets saturated. The AI revolution is open for businesses, and I hope to see you there.